Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we'll be looking at a boot cut trouser, and we have the measurement of waist 40, hip line 9 inches, hip 50, knee length 24, round knee 21 inches, and length of 45 inches. We'll be adding 2 inches for hemming allowance. So on the side, I have the margin of 2 inches, and at the top there, I have the margin of 2 inches. So the horizontal line there will be the waistline. On that line, I'll be placing a quarter of the hip circumference. I'll mark it and then go down with 9 inches from the waistline, and that's the hip line. So I'll draw a horizontal line there. And after that, I will place the crotch measurement, which is dividing the hip circumference by 20. And I have about 2.5 inches. That's what I'm marking there, and I'll be drawing a line at that point to indicate the crotch. So on the crotch line, which I'll label, placing a quarter of the hip circumference again. So I will connect that point on the crotch to the point I have on the waistline. So then I'll use exactly what I got as my crotch measurement. That's 2.5. I'll use it for the crotch extension. Now this is the front panel that we are drafting first. Okay, so after placing that, I'll simply extend the crotch line to meet the 2.5 I added as the extension. So then I'll turn my cuff pattern just like you can see in this video, and then I am cuffing it out at that point. So now the thigh measurement for my client is 32 inches. Dividing that by 2, we have 16 inches. So I measured the crotch measurement, the entire of it, and I noticed that it won't be enough for it. So what I do in this kind of situation is I will need to extend it into the margin we added at the side there. So I added 1 more inch, and then at this point I measure it and we have the 16 inches. So I will mark the middle of that 16 inches and measuring it from the margin line, I have 7 inches. But of course, if you measure it to that point that we added outside is 8 inches. Measuring from the margin, I will place 7 inches on the waistline and then connect that line to the midpoint of the crotch line. So now that's our dart line, and then I will place the dart length of 5 inches, and I'm placing a ½ inch on both sides of this dart line. So I'll connect it to meet the dart length of 5 inches, okay? And then I will place a quarter of the waist circumference. Now the waist circumference that I have is 40, and because I want it to be a bit firm on the client's waist, so I reduce it by 2 inches, and so I have 9.5 inches. And then I'm adding 1 inch for that, replacing the dart that we added, okay? And I'll connect it to meet my crotch measurement. And then I will extend it upwards. At the waistline there, I'm extending it upward with ½ inch. So I'll connect it from the measurement I have on the crotch and then to that ½ inch. And then from the midpoint there, I'm going down with ½ inch as well, and I'll contour it to meet the other point. So now this just to give a balance around the waistline, okay? So now I'll move over to the knee line. So the knee line, you simply measure it from your waistline, and of course you must have measured it on the client's body. So I had 24 inches for the knee length. So I measured from waistline 24 inches, and I marked it and draw a horizontal line. So on that knee line, I'm extending the dart line all the way to the length of this trousers, okay? On the trouser length, which I measured from the waistline to the length, the desired length, I placed the midpoint of what we got on the crotch line, and I'm extending that line. So like I said, we are extending the dart line from the waist to the length of the trousers. So on the knee line, I'll divide the knee measurement, the round knee measurement, which is 21 inches by 2, that's 10 and a half. If I divide the 10 and a half by 2 again, I'll have 5 1/4. So I'm placing 5 1/4 on both sides of that line, okay? And then I'll connect it to the measurement I have on the crotch on both sides. Now, at the hip line, I want to clarify this, that if we did not have this excess, you have been connecting what you have for your waist measurement to your hip, and then you connect your crotch to your knee measurement. All right. So now at the length of this trouser, I placed 7.5 inches, because we are making a boot cut. All right, so it has to be a bit bigger than the knee. Of course, you can make it more than this, but I decided to make it just very moderate. So I place 7.5 inches on both sides of the dart line, and then I'll connect the measurement I have on the knee line to the 7.5 inches I marked on both sides of the length. Okay, so that means from knee on both sides, I'm taking it to the measurement I have on both sides of the line. I hope it makes sense. So then I'll cut it out and then place it on the fabric. So for this pattern, it is for the front panel. So for the front panel, I am cutting exactly what I have on this pattern. So you need to pin it down, secure it, and then you cut it exactly what you have on this pattern for the front panel. But for the back panel, okay, you place it on a folded fabric as well. So remember, for the front panel, we're having 2 pieces, so the fabric was folded into 2. And the back panel too, the fabric is folded into 2. And at the hip line, note the hip line, I've slashed it. That's like cutting it, okay, but not cutting it through, okay, just left about ½ inch there. So you can see me measuring. I want to use 1.5 inches because I don't want it too baggy around the butt. Okay, this is to give the ease for the butt, because you know the back is always curvy than the front. Okay, so now I'll secure this pattern on the fabric so it will move, and then I will I'm extending the crotch line for the back panel. I'm placing 3.5 inches, okay, and on the waistline I am placing 2 inches. This 2 inches will be for the seam allowance. Therefore means we'll be using ½ inch for our seam allowance on both sides. So I'll connect that measurement to the 3 inches crotch extension for the back panel. I'll connect it to meet that point, and then I'll mark 2 inches following the contour that I have from the crotch to the length of this trouser. Okay, it can't be straight, so it has to follow the contour. Means if you're making a pencil trouser, it will follow the contour that you have from the crotch to the desired length of the trouser. And if you're making a palazzo, same thing. We'll be doing the sewing video. So if this tutorial gives you any value, give me a thumbs up, like and share. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.